child for MLS sites is in the front row here. Just from each of your perspective, what do you see happening in that world, and what do you see as the new trends of the ways to make those sites really valuable?
I think, again, the Houston Association of Realtors site has been a great example. Dave Sharon with Homes Database, MRIS, is another great example of popular ones. And it really just comes down to a return on investment thing. I think there's so many different ways of doing it, but it's a big investment. And I think that my, input to this is you really have to ask yourself, are you going to make that investment, and why are you making that investment? I think it's not a clear-cut answer. Sometimes your board will think, yay, this is a great idea. But, you really have to analyze it like a business decision. The site itself, well, you get a bunch of developers and consumers and realtors in the room and trying to agree. You'll figure out what's going to work or what's not going to work. But that costs money, it costs energy, and it costs time. And so you have to decide for yourself whether that's there. And then you have to decide, are we going to promote this, and are we going to brand it, and how are we going to do it? So I just think it's a very local decision that needs to be made as a business decision with good analytics and really following through with that, as opposed to just saying, this is the trend, we have to do this and make it right. I mean, I'd say out of our 100 and some customers, about half of them have a public-facing search engine. Some are really good, some are really bad, and what traction they get with it is kind of up to them. But make no mistake, it's an investment that you've got to make and put a lot of energy behind it if you're going to make it successful.
So Errol, from your perspective, if someone is going to launch a site like that, what are the kinds of things you think are important to include on a site, on a public site? You're the expert.
Yeah, I'm really good with what Mike says. I think it's important. Every scenario is different. I think it's important to start with a business goal and say, what is the business objective for doing it? I mean, a few years ago, everybody had to have transaction management platforms. Now everyone needs to have consumer-facing websites. I think it's important to have business goals. And I think it's also useful to have objectives up front in terms of what your targets are. And so one of the objectives would be unique users. I think other objectives would be engagement metrics. So how many page views per user, how many minutes per user on site. And I think because those are actually metrics. So I'd start by defining what is it I'm trying to do and where I want to get. Now, having said that, I think the things these days, here's the challenge. If you look at Comscore, which is the big internet tracking agency, there are 37% more real estate websites this year versus last year. So it's getting harder and harder to get attention on the internet. So I think you've got to ask yourself then, okay, what are the kinds of things, particularly in the buyer's market, that people are looking for? So unquestionably listings. That's a given. That's table stakes. And increasingly in this market, people are interested in market trend information, home valuation information, recent sales. So I think actually having the sell side, or something around the sell side, is important. I think people, to the point that you made earlier, are on the fence and they're very nervous. And so I think advice and information around neighborhoods, around process. We just released a survey this morning that we did with a national survey company. It will be showing up in some newspapers tomorrow around who's going to be buying homes in 2009. What we found is that more than half the people who said that they're planning to buy a home this year are first-time home buyers. Last year, the number was only 40%. So what you're seeing, that's a significant shift, right? You're seeing a significant shift in terms of the home buyers last year, this year, towards a first-time home buyer. And so the needs of the first-time buyer, very, very different from someone who's purchased a home before. So again, I would try and say, what are my consumers looking for, and provide the editorial information. Here's the process you've got to go through if you're going to buy a property.
Along the lines of what he's saying is, do it right or don't do it at all. Because if your site isn't done right, they're just not going to go to it. But you can also partner with your members. And one of the ways you can get your traffic is by having your members link to it and having it so that it has their name and phone number on every single page. So that's one way to get traffic, is by partnering with them.
Okay.
I'll give one more example. I think of, if you're considering a public-facing site, I think something that the industry hasn't done very well yet is statistics. I think the MLS industry is really uniquely positioned to provide the best data regarding the health of the market. As Errol said, you guys sell the property, right? The MLS is where 90% of the And yet, because I think there aren't great aggregations yet that deal with real specific neighborhoods, we end up seeing statistics on cities and zip codes. And other, a lot of MLSs have areas, but the data quality is questionable. Sometimes because people are put in the wrong place and it's just a field and it's easy to manipulate. So I think if you come up with an index, right, a market index that is branded to your association, I think NAR can do a better job of this, of saying, it's sort of like this is the hot sheet, and you can bring your members into it by allowing them to author from the data that you're creating analyses of the market, their views. And again, as they create this content, put them onto the hot sheet, and you can funnel that back out to the consumer in terms of this is the latest market update that's coming. So I think really focusing on that statistical analysis and what the experts in the market are saying is a key way to leverage what you're already doing.
A couple things I would add to that, and you bring up one that's excellent. That one of the things that it's really important to think about is making sure the site works for both listing agents and buyer's agents. So that's a great example where everybody can participate. Another site that just launched in Florida allows the consumer to choose the agent that they've already decided to work with. And whenever they get a listing search result back, it's framed with that buyer's agent's picture, so that there isn't a temptation to go to 6 listing agents and create confusion and frustration on both sides. Another thing that I would highly recommend from the work we did with Bob, and for those who haven't seen it, if you want to go to our blog, wavegroup.com, there's all kinds of studies that we've done that feel free to download on consumer sites and agent ratings and a whole bunch of different topics. But making sure you take credit for the word MLS very overtly, because it is the word that consumers recognize, and we've left about this, that if you look at the search engine optimization that's done by the Zillows and the Trulias of the world, they're using the word MLS because they know consumers are looking for that information. So make sure that it's obvious it's coming from associations, it's coming from realtors, and it's coming from an MLS. And another little quick trick that that I think is really fun, and it goes to the point that consumers like MLS sites because they know it has great up-to-date information. We've trained them to let them know that MLS that's the best place to go. What they're doing is they actually have a ticker, so it's a live countdown. Theirs is updated, I believe, every 10 or 15 minutes. So it tells you this information was updated 14 minutes and 12 seconds ago. So it looks so dynamic, and it is truly dynamic, but it's a great visual way to take credit for the fact that this stuff is really fresh. It's the best information out there. Just a couple fun things to think about.
On that point, we've started doing exactly the same thing as last October. We timestamp every single listing, and we're doing now for the majority of MLSs in the country 15-minute updates. If you're not doing that yet, there's no charge. We're happy to do it, so let us know. So it'll say updated 6 minutes ago or 13 minutes ago. And the reason this is so important is that many of the non-industry sites, you'll find listings that are as old as 2 weeks ago where there was a price change that didn't get picked up, but the property sold and it's still listed as being on the market. And so we've been working very, very hard to say that the band of realtors, brokers, stands for accurate information. It's important for consumers to get the difference because they don't understand. They don't understand if they go to a third-party site, they're seeing half or maybe 3/4 of the listings, and they could be as old as 2 weeks old. So to the extent that you can, and we can, make that difference obvious to consumers, it's important.
I've actually seen some large for sale by owner sites have 6-month-old listings.
Oh, yes.
6 months. So yeah,
It's not, and if you're the agent that's got a 6-month-old listing, they call you, they insist that the house is still for sale, it can be a big problem.